Yeah, there's a lot going on.
You too?
But we're not gonna get into that. Are we live yet?
Let me see. We are live.
All right, awesome. Okay, so let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so we're Talk Thursdays. Today, Coach Brandi Nick here, Coach Sharon, and today we're talking about, it's like when failure goes beyond failure and then you just get overwhelmed. We're talking about quitting, right? Um, why will we quit when we know we're on a certain pathway, right? Like, what's the mentality behind that? What do we think about when we succumb to quitting? What does that say about us as individuals, right? So that's what we're getting into today. And so this all started this conversation. We were thinking about, okay, what topics are we gonna do? And we're thinking about folks that we work with and folks that we know. Obviously Sharon's been in this industry much longer than I have, even longer than I have age on me. And I've been in this.
Yeah, that's really true. That's
It
right.
is true. It is true. Yeah. Yep. And I've got some skin in the game here in the industry. And so we think about who we know and how many folks just say, you know what, it's too hard for me. I can't do it, or even thinking about ourselves, right? Like how many times until we got to the place that we are now, right? Because I know, like, Sharon, I know you're not a quitter at all, and I know that for myself as well. But there was a journey towards becoming that person, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was a journey. There's a
Absolutely.
lot of things that in hindsight you could say, oh, I quit that, or I wanted to quit that. It was hard. I
Yes.
didn't want to stick with it, but I did it, you know. Um, so
Yes,
yeah,
many,
let's talk about it.
many. Yeah,
Let's
many. And you know what? And it doesn't go for it's actually, I think it's what's the word I'm looking for? It relates to fitness a lot. It relates to what we do a lot. But it's
Absolutely.
more of just something that is in us because it could be anything. Um, it could be as quitted. I don't mean quit as being a parent, but like almost like give up because things get difficult, or quit at a relationship, or quit at, just doesn't matter. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
what gets you to the point where something becomes so difficult that you just decide, okay, that's it.
Right. No, that's right. That's right. I think about one of the things that I know I did not want to do growing up, is the school that I graduated from, the high school that I graduated from, right? Was a school that it was a good school, one of the best in New Orleans. And but I had so many issues there, right? I'm not talking about academic issues. I was there on scholarship. Um, and so and I also, I had to maintain a certain GPAs. I was an A student. That wasn't where the issue was. For me, the issue was social issues, not being able to relate to, and it was an all girls school. I'm not being able to relate to the girls who were at the school with me, or at least not feeling like I could, because they came from a different social economic background than me, mostly affluent, mostly white, mostly did not look like me, right? And so that's very hard to try to figure out your social life, right, in an environment where you have, or on the surface it seems like you have nothing in common. And I remember just being like, can I just leave this school and go to a different school? And my parents were just not having it. I couldn't understand why, but I think about the fortitude that it took for me to stay in there. And I started in junior high school. I started in junior high school and went all the way through high school there at that school. And just thinking about, how much strength you have to be in a situation that is going to be better for you in the end. But while you're going through it, it feels like hell on earth. I mean, and that might be, exaggerating, but but in
No,
the
but I know what
moment,
you're
that's
saying.
how it is. And in hindsight, I could say, like, you know what, I see exactly why this was the school that was picked for me. I see exactly what the benefits were. You can see all that stuff in hindsight. And I think that that's transferable to other areas, in just like you were saying, in fitness, in relationships, and any of those things. It is hard in the moment, but over the long term, it's the best choice and best decision for you, right?
Right.
So that's kind of my first memory of something that was really, really tough for me, that I wanted to just give up. I was just like, I don't even know how I can do this. But I did, and then on the funny thing is that some of the things that were much harder in life, a lot of my obstacles in life, I never had that sentiment where I thought, okay, let me give up. I thought instead it fueled me to want to push forward and to want to push ahead.
Right.
So, do you have any experiences like that, where you can think maybe a first experience, or just one that sticks out to you, where you really wanted to quit at something, and you didn't, and now you can see, okay, is all for the best.
Well, actually, yeah. And I'm going to go actually back into fitness because before I became an instructor
Mm-hmm.
and trainer, I was a little bit overweight, probably about 40 pounds more than I am now. And I have 12 pounds from COVID. So I was a
Okay.
little bit overweight.
Okay.
Pants weren't fitting me anymore. Nothing was fitting me anymore. I just didn't feel good about myself. And so I said, well, now remember, this is prior to my exercising at all. So,
Right.
well, I'm going to go and I'm going to take a dance exercise class.
Mm-hmm.
And it was called dance aerobics at the time. And by the way,
This
I
is
ended up,
before Zumba.
oh, yeah. Oh, way
Yeah.
before. We're talking about when I was 23, 24.
Okay.
So going back
There we go.
a few
Yeah.
years, like
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
So, so I started taking that class because I decided that I needed to do that as part of what I needed to do to lose weight.
Okay.
And so I paid for it. Luckily, I paid for it because if
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't paid for it, I probably wouldn't have gone back. And I took the class and I stood in the back. And that entire time that I was there, standing in the back, doing my thing, I hated every second of it.
Mm.
Every second of it. I was watching the instructor. She was absolutely gorgeous and she was well built and she looked fantastic and she was graceful and she was everything that I wasn't. And I took the
Mm.
class and I was sweating and I didn't enjoy that feeling at all because I wasn't really used to that.
Yeah.
I felt clumsy and awkward and you name it. And it was it. And
Right.
I finished that class up. It was an hour class and I walked out and I said, I'm not doing this ever again. I don't like
Mm.
the way this feels. I'm giving up. I'm done with this.
Mm.
And then I thought, well, you paid for it. You might as well at least give it a try. Go
Right.
back a few more times. Go back a few more times. So I actually went back to what I hated for 6 weeks. And after about the third week of going back and pushing myself to go back, I was hooked.
Yeah. So why I want to touch on this because I think it's really interesting. Why did you hate it after that first class?
It was mostly because I felt like I was a failure. I
Oh,
felt like,
because you weren't mastering it. Right. Instead of looking at, and see, this is what I'm getting to, instead of looking at it as this is a starting point and I want to get better at this, you looked at it as like, I'm not already good at this.
yeah.
So,
And
right.
this
I
is
mean,
difficult.
and
And this is difficult. That's more
yeah, this
important.
is difficult. This
It
is
was
hard to
difficult.
do. But see, but meanwhile, people want like J-Lo bodies, but they don't want to do J-Lo body work.
Right.
You
Right.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We want everything quick and easy and we want it to feel comfortable, but I don't know where we get this idea that comfort is a part of the success formula. It's not.
Right.
It's
Right.
not. So when you quit on something, for me, it's like, okay, there are certain, there are certain parameters or certain things that I go by. Like if I'm going to quit, and then it needs to be something that is harmful for me, right? It's like if it's harmful and it's taking me away from what I want, then you can go ahead and say, you know what, that's not for me, right? You can quit the smoking, you can quit the excessive drinking, you can quit, you know what I'm saying? Quit the things that are harmful for you and taking you away from your goal. But to me, it doesn't make any sense to quit something that is helpful for you just because it's hard. If it's going to bring you closer to your goals, then it's like, then you want to be in it. Like there's a huge difference between people who are successful and people who are just kind of riding that wave, and people who are failures. I think one of the worst places to be is in the middle, where you're not willing to put the action forward, and you're just kind of like, well, I feel like I could be back in this, negative direction at any point now. If I have any slip up, I eat one too many pieces of cake, drink one too many, Sprites or Cokes, then I can easily be back where I was before.
Right.
And in the future, you're looking at them, like you start to get, envious, but not, it goes beyond that. It becomes, you start to get spiteful, and jaded, and it's like, oh, they're not real. There's no way that they could be living this life like that. There's no way. And you and I as personal trainers and as a health coach, it's like, okay, well, you could say that, but whatever you're you, I'm not there. And then it's this thing where it's, you look at people and you look at situations and look at things that you aspire to be, like they're not attainable for you. And I think people do this in health. They do it with money, right? Oh, that person's a millionaire, I can never be a millionaire. What?
Right.
There's never been an easier time, I think, to be on that path. It doesn't say everybody's going to get there, but you can at least get to a place where, you've got a little bit more financial freedom and your financial health is in order, right? Like there's so many different ways where this applies. And I think when you've got resources at your, at your disposal, and you don't, and you say, that Zumba class, or, and you already, it wasn't Zumba, but that class, whatever the class may be, that class, it's going to be good for me, but I'm not going to do it because it's too hard,
Right.
Or I don't have the time. Is more accurately, I'm not making the time. We all have the same 24 hours. Wake up a little earlier if it means something to you.
Right. No, that's right.
Or stay up a little later if it means something to you.
No, you're right. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. I agree.
There's no way, and I think that, and the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because, there's a lot of, you and I, we've been through a lot, we've seen a lot, we've worked with a lot of people, and at the end of the day, you have to think, you're never going to, like, you would be delusional to think that you can get to the place you want to get to without working for it.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. And even beyond that, it's a lot easier to make excuses than it is to actually continue to forge forward. And a lot of times you find out that when you forge forward, you actually end up enjoying what you're doing. And even if you don't enjoy what you're doing while you're doing it, you enjoy the outcome.
That's right. That's right. You enjoy the outcome. You got to think outcomes driven, right? Outcomes driven in your life. You want a certain life, you better put in the work to get there, to do it.
Right.
And I know, like, as a coach, I'm not the type of coach that says, oh, it's okay. If you don't do this, you'll get, like, no, I'm not going to lie to you about what you need to do. It's not easy work, but it can be work that feels natural, right? Like when you first learn to walk, it's not easy, right? Right. When you're a baby, I'm saying, when you're crawling and you're like, oh, I got to take these steps to walk. It's not easy to do that. When you're trying to communicate, right? And you're just learning how to communicate. It's not easy to do that. There's skills you have to develop. When you learn how to be disciplined enough to go your butt to school, wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever hour in the morning you had to wake up for, 5 o'clock, to get, to make your way to school. And then, all day you're going to be, you're going to be taxed with, with the glorious duty of learning.
Yeah. Nobody wants
That's
that.
not easy.
No.
None of that's easy, but we get into the habits and we say, you know what, this is going to benefit me in the long run. That's why we don't give up. And when we do give up, that's why later on we think, okay, you know what? Let me go back and get that GED.
Right. That's right.
That's why we think, let me learn some more skills. Even if I didn't graduate, high school, if I didn't, let me make myself let me bring more value into my life. Let me go jog every day because that's going to be good for my health. Right?
Right. Absolutely.
Like, this is why we do that. We work on the things, whether or not it comes easy for us or not. And so at the end of the day, when you get to your end of life and you look back at your life, you cannot blame anybody else but yourself for where you are in your life.
That's right.
Are
Absolutely.
you a quitter, right? Are you a quitter, or are you somebody that puts one foot in front of the other and you keep on trekking? You do what you have to do if you know that that's going to get you to where you need to be, and stop complaining to everybody around you about how hard your life is.
Right. No, absolutely. 100%.
I feel like I'm preaching, Coach Sharon.
That's all right. I did that last week, I think, too. So when you get passionate about
we preach.
No, that's what happens.
We get passionate about certain things, but I don't like to see people give up on themselves, especially
no, I don't
when you
either.
can look and see the potential. And I say this for myself too, in certain things, if things are hard, say it for myself, right? We're not immune to any of these things, so we speak from experience. And that's what, is important, because I can say I was in this unhealthy place and now I'm in this healthier place. I can talk about that aside from the education that I have. You can do the same, right?
Right.
It's like, we've got that. I can say this about other areas of my life. I can say I changed this behavior. I used to do this and now I do this.
Yeah.
I can say that wasn't easy to do it. I can say that I had to completely annihilate. I had to forget about and kill the person that I used to be in order to make room for who I am now. I can say that. And I can say it wasn't an easy process, nor was it a fun process, but it's something that now, I walk in my lane, I walk in my body and my aura and my energy now, and people can't imagine how life used to look for me.
Right. Right.
And that's the
benefit. It doesn't have to be that extreme. Yeah. The thing is, it doesn't have to be that extreme either. It could be something very simple, but still everything still applies. It all still applies. Same thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I'm just talking
about why I'm passionate about it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. With anybody passionate, just to get to where they need to be. You're right. It isn't easy, but even if it's something like you changed your whole life, we're talking about sometimes people that only have to change
one little thing.
An action.
That's right. One action.
That's a lot easier to do.
Just do the one thing. Just do the one thing. Do it with consistency. You don't even have to do it all the time with conviction.
Right.
Just do it with consistency. It doesn't have to be perfect. Who's grading you? Nobody.
Right.
It's you against you. That's it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Don't give up. Don't give up. And remember, what we said today. If you give up on yourself, you have nobody to blame but yourself for where you end up. You've got people and tools and resources along the way for virtually any and everything that you need to get to where you have to be. Take those.
Yeah.
Take those. We didn't always have the luxury, of the internet. Okay. Of networking and communication through social media. We didn't always have the luxury of this. This is a new day and age that we live in. So we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of all of those things and that we're living in gratitude for that.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a privilege to struggle through something that's going to make you better.
Absolutely. 100%.
100%.
100%. I know, honey. I know. We'll get through to people eventually. Maybe.
Somebody out there is listening. Somebody out there is listening.
We keep putting one foot in front of the other. Eventually, people listen.
There we go. Well, that's a good note to end on. Right. Somebody is listening to this. Your takeaway, if you feel like, this made sense to you when you're like, oh, I needed to hear that. I should, just comment section, let us know. We like to know that we're reaching folks.
Yes, we do.
This is one we see people just quit and give up on themselves left and right. And, we care about that. So please let us know how you're feeling, and we will catch you next week for another Talk Thursday.
Another passionate Talk Thursday.
Another passionate